All right, well, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to talk to you about prospecting this morning.
All right, so we'll start by telling you guys a little bit about ourselves. You were probably expecting Jonathan Tomko. He's our team lead along with Rachel Alley. I am Aaliyah. I am a listing agent on the team, currently the sole listing agent while Rachel's out. And this is Allie.
Yep. So hi, everyone. My name is Allie. I am a buyer specialist on the Millennium Group. So there are myself, Lisa Mitchell, and Whitney Small. We all represent the buy side of the Millennium Group. So we are taking over today while Jonathan is playing with that adorable new baby boy of his.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our prospecting, our marketing, and how we've been able to grow, not only as a team, but as newer agents. I've been in the business for 2 years. Allie's been in the business for coming up on a year.
Yeah, coming up on.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our team, as well as some of the techniques and things that we've found to be really helpful in getting our businesses started. So I'll let you start.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to go ahead here. I'm going to share my screen just so we can kind of follow along. Put you in that. Present. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. I love that. All right. So really what we're going to focus on today is just that all important idea of lead generation. So obviously we're all aware that there's a couple different types, there's true lead generation and prospecting, and then there's marketing. So we really today just kind of want to differentiate the two. And while, marketing can seem like that easier instant gratification fix, we're just going to kind of talk through what's really worked for us and our team as far as that true, direct messaging, prospecting, and, some different ways we can do that. And, just again, what's worked for us.
Okay, so we basically want to talk a little bit about our prospecting first and how we set up our calendars and what we do and what we consider to be prospecting, contacts, all of those things. So with the Millennium Group, we typically do lead generation 12 hours on our calendar a week. So that is 12 hours that are blocked where we're basically having conversations and we are prospecting. So we are prospecting, we're not marketing during that time. Anything that we do marketing wise is done at a separate time or is done actually by our part-time marketing gal. So with lead gen, we really focus on that prospecting piece and then focusing on either growing our database with new contacts or focusing on growing that database with new leads, which we'll talk about some of the topics and the ways that we are able to do that. And then really one of the things that we focus a lot on is managing our sales pipeline. So knowing that we have to get our client from being just a lead in our database to getting that appointment, getting them actively searching or actively on the market, under contract, and then to close. We monitor that and we do a really good job of making sure that if someone is stuck in one phase of that, that we're continuously moving them along, connecting with them, talking with them, and getting them to move on to the next phase of that transition. So those are kind of the big things we'll be talking about today.
Yep. All right. So I am going to, so let's just talk a little bit about, prospecting. What does that truly mean? Why is it different, from marketing? Everyone kind of thinks of, marketing is where, my people are going to come from. That's where my business is going to come from. And really this kind of diagram here shows why prospecting is a little bit different. So your prospecting is going to be that, not your blasting out an email, to a ton of people. It's not going to be your posting on your Instagram or your Instagram stories. Your prospecting is going to truly be those calls, those emails, those one-to-one text messages where you are actually asking for business. So as you can see here in this, beautiful little triangle or pyramid, your prospecting, it's going to take more time. Everyone's willing to write out that Instagram post. They're willing to send out that email blast, but that prospecting is really going to be, that one-on-one, figuring out what is going to work for each audience. That's, picking out what message is going to fit with this audience. Maybe it's my current client clients versus, my nurturers who maybe we're trying to get them on as clients, or these are, my clients right now, we're trying to get them into contract. It's more proactive. It's not your, reactive. It's going to be the thing though that is going to get you those immediate results. Prospecting is what's going to get you your appointments, whereas marketing is what's going to get you awareness. So then kind of going into what is this prospecting? What are some of the ways that we can actually be doing this? Well, obviously we have our phone or face-to-face. So we have, you can be doing circle calling. So we actually, on our particular team, we have our ISA who, he's going to be circle calling. You can speak a little bit from on the listing side if you would like.
Yeah, so we have an ISA who circle calls around all of our upcoming, or I should say coming soon listings, as well as our listings that are active on the market. So he calls around those neighborhoods, letting those people know that we have homes coming up for sale and asking them if they have any real estate needs. Also calls around our listings for any FSBOs or expired listings. What we've found is that in this market, that has been tough. I know some agents are really, really good at it. We do it. We probably don't do it enough, but we haven't had too much success drawing any cold leads from that. We've had a couple of appointments, but most of our business actually comes from the warmer leads. So I think if you are looking to get started, you don't know who to contact, FSBOs, expired, circle calling are all great options. But it is going to be probably in your best interest to at least have some form of warm lead generation where you're talking with people that you know or that you can build a relationship with.
What is an ISA?
So an ISA is an inside sales agent. So he's someone on our team that basically his job is to be looking for deals for the team. So while our agents, ourselves as agents, are out there working and building our networks, building our databases, he is not actively working with clients. His job is just to prospect and look for deals for the team. So that's something that some teams have. When I first started out as a listing agent, I did start, calling FSBOs, expireds, just to try to get my contacts to get better at my script practice. So there is a lot of benefit to doing those things. We've just seen that in this market with how competitive it is. And especially if you're looking for listings, it is possible to sell your home as a FSBO. And a lot of expired listings as well are having luck either turning into a FSBO, or they're just feeling so bombarded by the calls that we've seen a little bit of a decrease in the efficiency and effectiveness of those calls just in this past year. Again, that's just our team. So some other agents in the office might have really good experiences with them thus far this year. But that's kind of where we're at with that. So we've transitioned those calls to our ISA for him to call through.
Yeah. And then on the buy side, if you guys are wondering, how we could be making those phone calls as well, what we're trying to do is if we have a client who is looking in a particular area, maybe they found that perfect neighborhood. If we are finding that we're writing an offer that's not getting accepted, but let's say that was your client's, that was exactly what they needed, exactly where they needed. We're also having our ISA reach out to members of that neighborhood saying, hey, someone in your neighborhood just went into contract on such and such street. We actually have a client who is actively looking in the same area. Do you or any of your neighbors know of anyone who might be willing to sell? Again, it's going to be a colder lead. We haven't had the best success with it, just in complete transparency. But again, if you're really looking to just kind of up that activity and up those amount of phone calls and the contacts that you're making a day, it's never a bad thing to try. And you never know, weirder things have happened in this market. You could end up either with a listing or you could end up with a home for your buyer. So then on kind of that warmer end of things, the ones that don't feel as icky, I know it's one of the best things in the world to, kind of call people who aren't exactly expecting you. So the ways that we can, combat that is really, instead of trying to, fit yourself into the real estate world, make the real estate world fit into your life. So let's look at the things that we're naturally doing. Like Aaliyah has had more conversations about her Bernedoodle and, has found people. It's been a great conversation starter. So use the things in your life that are already working for you. For me, I love to go antiquing and thrifting. And so I've built, kind of this, little circle of friends within that it's find your people and make real estate fit in later. I think that's the biggest thing that, Jonathan kind of teaches us on our team is that, real estate's going to happen. It doesn't really matter when, just get the connection. So again, whether it's with corporations, we're always, creating relationships with our vendors, whether it's through social media, whether it's just through past clients, reach out to those roofers who did really good work for a past client, reach out to, the people who did your, hardwood floors maybe 3 years ago, start there as well. Obviously they're going to be having their own clients who are using their services in order to get ready to sell. They're going to know sellers. They're going to know buyers. They're going to know people. So utilize that, utilize your lenders, be proactive, send them referrals first. The best way to expect a referral is to give one. So I think in prospecting, if you can think a little bit outside the box and, send people their way, it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, something we've really focused on this year is figuring out where our business has come from in the past and honing in on those sources. So if you are a newer agent and you don't have business that you've done in the past or a lot of business to go off of, start asking agents in the office, where do you get most of your business? Do some research on the current market and where agents are finding success and focus on those areas. We really feel like there's an opportunity to grow in our strengths. And so we've identified our sources of business, which we're going to talk about, and then how we've improved those. So having key relationships, though, is huge. Like she talked about, our vendor partners, our builder partners, they have been huge this year. So knowing that if you're getting business from those people, you want to continue to serve them, to give back to them, and then build relationships with others who are going to support you. So again, your banks, your lenders, any investors that you might know that are in that industry, if that's something you want to do. And then take advantage of any opportunity to go to events, to do things with people outside of the real estate community and build those relationships. I know with COVID, that's been probably the biggest struggle is not being able to network or not being able to build relationships, but there is a way to do it. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we've been doing that through social media, as that's been huge for us to build a network and relationship when you can't physically meet people in person. But this slide just really has a good example of some of the ways that you can actively prospect for people. And if you haven't taken Bold, I would definitely recommend Bold, because what they're going to do is focus on this piece and they're going to expand upon it probably tenfold. So they're going to give you lists and lists of people and ways to come up with people to communicate with and to build relationships with. So let us know if you have any questions about any of these specifically, but we are going to talk about some of these coming up that we've used and that our team focuses on. So these are 4 of the prospecting tools that we've used, and we're actually going to talk probably heavily about agent-to-agent referrals and social media. We will talk about door knocking and open houses. It's just with COVID, those have seemed to not be as prevalent. So we'll talk about how we've done them and how we use them in the past, but knowing that the other 2 are huge sources of business for us. Right? So with door knocking, if you guys are familiar with door knocking, this is basically the opportunity to go around a neighborhood, knock on doors, and ask for business. We've done it multiple times. We actually used to do it pre-COVID, early last year. We'd do it, every couple of Fridays. We'd go out to the neighborhoods with our new listings, and we would door knock. So talking a little bit about what that might look like, we really focus on body language, how we present ourselves at the door, because when you are door knocking, you're showing up to someone's house, you don't know them. So you want to make sure that your posture, your body language is inviting. So we typically like to take multiple steps back. We like to turn our bodies at an angle so that they can see both sides of us. And we like to make sure, especially with COVID, if you're doing this, that you're keeping your social distance, wearing your mask. We haven't been doing this at all during COVID, just out of, respect for people and their privacy. But it is something that you can do as long as you're following those guidelines. And then really telling them why you're there in a short blurb. So one of the things that we like door knocking for is the opportunity to grow in your scripting. So you might not get any leads, but you are put in a position where you're out of your comfort zone. You're there with someone in person and you have to try to convert them or learn a little bit more about them. So we really focus on script practicing for those things. What are the questions that are going to lead you to the answers that you want? And then asking for business or asking them to do something. So oftentimes we will ask them to come to our open house. We will ask them if they know what the value of their home is, things like that. So you want to be really direct. You don't necessarily want to just show up and say hi and kind of let the conversation go wherever. You want to know what questions to ask. And there's plenty of scripts online for doing this. And then making sure that you get their contact info or noting their address when you walk away so that you can send them a follow-up card. So we've had not too much success with actually converting leads from this, but we have been able to grow, I think, as agents and get out of our comfort zone. So if it's not something that you've done, I would highly recommend it, as it does develop your skills. And you know, it's even more difficult than a cold phone call because you're right there in front of them. So if you don't like talking to new people, you don't like picking up the phone, it's a really good opportunity to practice those skills, and you don't really have to see those people again. So it's okay.
It actually works. The very first house I saw, got the listing for, was some door knocking.
Okay.
And follow up. The follow up is huge because everyone kept telling him to use this. There was another Keller Williams like a street over. So he called him and this guy never called back. And I just kept going back. And he's like, okay, you're hired. So it pays to be persistent.
No, and I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
The follow-up is huge. And with everything that we talk about today, it's not the activity that's going to get you the client. It's going to be the follow-up because you can do all the work, get their contact info, know that they're going to want to buy or sell. But if you don't follow up, you don't put a plan together, you're not going to convert that client. So, you know, we've had a lot of success doing these things in the past. Like I said, the last year, we really haven't been doing it too much. And when we have, you know, it's been a little bit difficult just with COVID and people not really wanting to open their doors or being a little bit hesitant. But like I said, it does work, and it is just a really good opportunity to grow your skill and to learn how to capture people in the moment.
All right. So this has been agent to agent referrals has been something that I think just recently has kind of exploded for our team, and really been a way not only to, you know, gain a transaction, but to gain a relationship for, you know, we always say that, you know, one person is the key to 250 other people. I've definitely seen kind of an influx from both the listing side and the buy side when it comes to agent referrals. So I think the key to this and how to make this work, I think, is definitely you know, putting yourself out there. So I think in easy things like, you know, I'm thinking your mega camps, your family reunions, you know, all those little Facebook pages that we can be joining just to put yourself out there. So I think, you know, that, hey, I'm, you know, in this area, I service this type. If you guys have any specialties, you know, put yourself out there and make the time to network. Aaliyah can talk a little bit more about what she's actually going to be doing with her agent to agent to build a group. But what we're seeing is, you know, get yourself out there, make yourself known, because if they don't have something today, they might have something tomorrow. So for me, you know, right now I'm working, you know, a referral from Houston, working a referral from Cleveland. And, you know, as soon as you can prove to them once, you know, that you are a trustworthy agent, whether or not you even get the deal, I think in how you follow up and in how you include that agent in your conversations, that's really going to be something that is going to build a good relationship. So Aaliyah, for you, do you want to talk about kind of what you're doing to nurture that a little bit?
So a couple things. The first being, we on our team always feel like you have to give to get. So we consistently focus on giving referrals. And also, if we see someone looking for an agent in Arizona, if we know someone in that area, we're going to, you know, put their name out there. So you don't have to just refer and get business Columbus to Columbus. If there's someone looking for an agent in a different area and you know an agent there, refer that person, because even if they don't get the deal, the next time they know someone or they hear of Columbus agents, they're going to refer you. I think Jonathan does a great job of doing that. He's constantly referring agents to other agents and not getting anything from it. And then, you know, a couple of days later, that agent is really thankful that we've been referring them, and they hear of someone else referring a Columbus agent, and so then they refer our team. So I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to building that network. It's not just saying, hey, here's who I am, but it's saying, I want to build a relationship with you. I want to support you. If there's anything I can do to support you on the other side of the country, I'm going to do that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is a bit of a saturated market in terms of the agent to agent network. So if you're in any of those KW groups or agent to agent referral Facebook groups, you'll know that it's kind of a Shark Tank out there, right? A post goes up looking for an agent in Columbus, and there are 30, 40, 50 comments with agents referring agents, with agents commenting. So some of the things that we do to secure these referrals is we actually call those agents directly. So when we get tagged in a post, or when an agent reaches out to us, we don't wait for them to reach out to us. We don't wait for them to see our message. We actually Google that agent, we find their phone number, and we give them a call, unless they say that they don't want calls. So that's the first thing we do to stand out, is we make an effort to, reach out first and not just comment on a post, because they're going to see that from 30 or 40 other agents. And the second thing that we do is we really try to show why we should win the deal. So explaining to them our experience, our knowledge with agent to agent referrals. And if you've never worked those, something to do is, talk about our KW brokerage. So talk about KW Capital Partners, how many agent referrals that we've done, things like that. Use the brokerage to your asset, knowing that we have some really great teams and agents in this office. And then just talk about you. I think the biggest thing that we've learned is that every agent has done deals. Every agent has their numbers. Every agent's going to share that with the agent referring. So we want to tell them what makes us different and make them feel that great connection to us, like we're going to support their clients. So we talk a lot about how we support our clients, the services we provide, and really just the opportunity to say, we want to get to know you. We want to get to know your client. We want to keep you updated, and we want to make sure that this is a great experience for everyone. So we focus on those number things. We try to prove that, we're worthy of this referral, but then we also try to show that we are going to support the client, and we're not just, talking about numbers that some agents don't care about. So those are some tips there. And then really what Ali was referring to, I am starting to kind of build my own agent to agent network. I'm actually, and when we get to social media, we'll talk about it, but we found a lot of success setting appointments through social media. So what I'm going to be doing is actually doing some webinars and teaching things on how to lead generate through social media. And I'm building a Facebook group where I'm going to be posting all of those links and things like that. So the cool part is I get to educate other agents, but also build a little bit of a database and support agents. So if you guys are interested, when we talk about that, I can let you know how to join that group, because we're going to be talking a lot about social media, lead generation, and building a database from cold to warm. So agent to agent referrals is huge. It's something that you can definitely get a lot of business from. It does take time. Millennium Group has been in business now for 5 years, and this year is probably the first year where we really are seeing a ton of business from this, because it takes time to build those relationships, right? And you never know when one of them is going to hit. So we never look at agent to agent business as, a main source of business or something that we're actively prospecting for on a daily basis, but we're just making sure that we're maintaining relationships, that we're doing a good job of connecting with other agents when possible, and referring out as well, and staying in touch. And like we talked about earlier, the follow-up is huge. So putting a follow-up plan together to stay in front of those agents is going to really set you apart.
I was going to say too, I get, emails now probably from a few different of my, referrals, whether it be from Miami, whether it be from Houston, that they've added me, to their smart plans. And so I think, with that follow-up, just stay ahead of it. And I think, when you can get on those phone calls, I was, I'm still in my first year. So it's always, a good question that they ask is, oh, what is your business like? What is this? What is that? And I've learned, the best conversations that I have with these referral agents, yes, talk about the brokerage, talk about you, but come prepared with your own questions. Come prepared with questions about the buyer. Are they going to need a preschool recommendation, a pediatrician recommendation? Your best way to kind of own these conversations when you're new and you don't have those numbers to lean on is just lean on the questions to them. Ask them how they want to be, connected with. Ask them what's going to be most important to their buyers. Ask them, what kind of timeline, do you want to be emailed and texted every day, every week, every milestone? The more that you can control the conversation with bringing your own questions to the table, it just leaves a little bit less time, for them to question you. So I know as a new agent, I've been there, I get it. So just the more that you can steer the conversation, usually the better that conversation goes. So
I'll tell you the other thing. I had a lady from Virginia call, and this was when the end of my first year, and she called a very experienced agent, and then she called me, and the bottom line was she asked me questions. Just be honest. I mean, they can look you up and see what you bought or sold, and she was like, the bottom line was that her lady picked me because she knew I would have the time to work with her, where the other lady, it was such a busy summer, that she wasn't going to have the time. So just be honest, because they're going to know anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, Allie, you've actually had an experience where, you were asked how long you've been in the business and you said a little under a year, and the agent was like, me too, and
Yeah.
so it's like you said, like, you never want to lie. You always want to be honest.
Yep.
And build that rapport. And I think that's why we focus so much on who we are as people and how we service our clients, because at the end of the day, that's what every agent's looking for, is someone that's going to take care of their client the way that they would treat their client. So if you can convey that message, regardless of how long you've been in the business or how many deals you've closed, you may not win them all, but you're going to at least have a fighting chance.
Exactly.
Okay. So, using Command, we have done this a lot with our referrals. So using the referral database in Command to send the referral information, to keep updated with the agent that you've sent the referral to, or to vice versa, give updates to. So those are things that are great about this Command opportunity. We highly recommend using KW agents when you're referring agents out. You might have friends or someone else that's maybe not a KW agent, and that's great, but we found huge success with KW agents across the country, just because they typically do have similar team setups to ours. They have similar values. And so that you're probably going to be getting a great agent that has the same ideals, and the way that they treat their clients is going to be the same. So prospecting for Command referrals, you can build a network on Command. We won't go into extreme detail on this because there are a lot of tutorials online. But what's really cool is that in Command, you can actually go in, if you see where it says map up here, you can go in and see where people are moving to and from. So where most people are coming from when they move to Columbus, if you're a buyer's agent, and then for your sellers, where are they moving to? And you can actively try to prospect and build your agent network through Command. Again, the biggest thing is going to be just sending an invitation and hoping that they remember you is probably not going to work. So if you do send an invitation to someone and you start to build that network, making sure that you have a follow-up plan, that you're staying connected, all of those things. That way, when they have someone in Columbus, or they have an agent in their office who has a Columbus area referral, you're going to be the first one that they think of. Again, agents are obviously very overwhelmed and busy, so you don't want to ever, bombard them, but making sure that you touch base with them, or set up a phone call, or at least send them an email with a picture of your face so they know who you are. Something that's going to keep them engaged, more than just an invite. But this is a really great way to just do some research and learn about the trends of where people are moving to and from. And if you want to pursue agent referrals as a major part of your business, that's going to be key, is understanding those statistics.
Yep. All right. So this next one here with open houses. This has been definitely a big way that I have procured business, and at least, setting those appointments. And again, this is a very good, it's just like door knocking, and the fact that, it might feel uncomfortable in the immediate, but it definitely hones your skills. It allows you to practice in real time, how to get to the right questions and how to turn that conversation of, oh my gosh, we love how pretty the kitchen is, into, do you have an agent? Can I set an appointment with you? So I think, the biggest part is set yourself up for success. So, on Mondays, start, if you're on a team, start asking around who has a new listing, who has, that right opportunity for me. Or if you're an independent agent, start, asking around. The office is your best resource. There's truly so many deals that are just sitting in this office waiting to happen. So many opportunities that just, slip through the cracks because people aren't asking the questions. So I would say, whether it's on Facebook, on our group, asking for open house opportunities, or just reach out to the heavy hitters in our brokerage. They're busy. Chances are they're not going to have the availability to host that open house. Take advantage of that. If you're proactive and if you build the relationships with these agents in the office, they will be more than willing to help you. I can say that from personal experience, that if you ask, the opportunity will come. So set yourself up for success with the right open houses, those new listings, maybe they're back on markets, really set yourself up for success with that. And then do your due diligence beforehand, whether it's you marketing on your own personal pages, whether it's you sending out emails to your database, even just a story on social media. Hey, I'm going to be here tomorrow from, 12 to 2, come visit, come say hi. All these things are going to achieve a couple different things. As a new agent, it's going to prove you're doing something, you're in business. Allow even if it's just your friends, your family, let them see you in action. That is going to be huge for you guys, and just building your own confidence and showing people that you're not just licensed, you're actually out here and you're getting things done. So make sure that you're giving your open house a fighting chance by promoting it, by getting the word out there. And then while you're there, that 2 hours can be as productive or as, lazy as you allow them to be. So, there's going to be times where it's going to feel dead. Take that opportunity. The amount of times, and again, we are very social media heavy, so you could find a way that this could work for you. But I go around and I'll literally, whether it's on, Facebook Live or Instagram Live or just in my stories, take a video of the house, allow them to see all the little details that maybe you can't see in the pictures, start sending out messages to people in your database, to people in your Instagram, to your friends saying, hey, I'm here, come check this out. Or, hey, I'm just down the street, was thinking of you, pop by and see this, And then when you get someone in the door, the all important of what do we do with them? Because we can either let them walk through the house and leave, or we can do something with them. So I think the first thing is have a sign-in sheet. I can say, just in pure transparency, the easiest way to get around people who are hesitant to sign in, blame it on COVID. Right, wrong, or indifferent, just, hey, due to COVID reasons, COVID tracking, just in case, please do our sign-in sheet. Again, when you're kind of new and you're still building that confidence and the rapport of how can I command, people to sign in, use that, use it all day long. Then when they first step in, have one thing in mind in that house that you're excited about that you want them to go see. So it's an easy icebreaker. Hey, what brought you in today? Is this the first one of the weekend? What brought you to us? Sometimes they're just in the area. You can find out if they're just a nosy neighbor, or if there's someone who's been looking for a while. So, get them in the door, get to understand what brought them here, have them sign in. We actually have on our sign-in sheet, are you working with a realtor? Take it with a grain of salt. They might just put yes if they think there's a less opportunity for you to bother them. But if they put no, then this is an opportunity. This is an unrepresented buyer. Chances are they're new to the market. They probably don't understand the demands of the market. So that's going to be someone for you to pursue. Let them walk through the house. Tell them what your favorite part of it is, maybe make some small talk about the weather, about, your favorite thing in the home. Let them take a lap around. And then that's when you're kind of crafting in your head, okay, what did I learn about them? How can I restart the conversation? When they come back around, what did you think of the home? Have in your head already, okay, they're unrepresented, or even if they are represented, find a reason to follow up with them. If it's a first-time buyer, if you're not comfortable with setting the appointment, ask them if you can send them some of your lender recommendations. Ask them if they started the financial conversation. Especially if they're unrepresented. Hey, oh, you're a first-time buyer. I would love to do a consultation. Let's talk through the market. Let's talk through demands. The more, questions you can ask of them, basically kind of make them realize that they need you. Ask them if they talked with a lender. Ask them if, if they have been putting in offers. Oh, appraisal gaps, this, that, the other. Just the more you can find out about them, the better you can tailor the conversation. And so really, even if it's just, hey, did you want to see the residential property disclosure? Find a way to continue on the conversation, and that's going to be your best bet to eventually bring them on as a client. If you can send them something, if you can set that appointment, even if it's just, hey, you needed this paperwork, or you had this question about the roof, let me ask the listing agent. Do you have a good phone number? I can text, the response. So that's going to be the biggest way to turn that 2 hours from being a time sucker that you're going to be thinking of all the things you could have accomplished at home, or it's going to be that way that you can actually pick up some new people that even if they're not right now business, that they're looking, set them up on a neighborhood nurture and stay in front of them, because that's going to be, more than probably 98% of the market is doing right now. So,
Yeah. And the biggest thing we always focus on in whatever lead generation that we're doing is creating that need and then becoming the solution. So you want to create that need. So like Ali said, asking questions about lenders, where they're at in the process, how many homes they've seen, and then using questions that are going to show them that maybe they don't know what's going on, or maybe they need your help, or they have a question. And then you can kind of swoop in there and say, no worries, we have the solution. And you go for that close for the appointment. Of course, if they have an agent, they're represented, we want to make sure that we're really careful with that. But like they said, some people just say that. So we typically like to have a conversation, and we even like to ask, what's your agent's name? How can I give your agent information about the property? Learn a little bit more, because people's first response is always going to be a little bit guarded. So, just make sure that you're following all the rules with that, and not getting yourself into any trouble with people that are represented.
Yes, absolutely.
So like she said, making sure that we add contacts. Whitney Small, if you know her, she's our lead buyer's agent. She does a great job of prospecting from her open houses years later. So she will about every quarter run through all of her Brivity. We use Brivity, run through all of her Brivity people that are tagged open house, and basically send them a message and say, hey, I met you at an open house, this long ago. I just want to check in and see if you ended up finding that forever home. And a lot of times the people respond and they say, you know what, we got really tired with the market, or we decided we had a family thing come up and we couldn't, we're actually still looking, or, we had a really bad falling out with, an agent that we ended up using, and we actually are looking for a new agent. So she's actually been able to secure most of her open house clients, either at the open house from setting an appointment, or from that follow-up months and even years down the road. So I think that's really the emphasis on why you need to gather their contact info, make sure that they're tagged as an open house lead, and just touch base with them. You don't have to bombard them, but knowing that if you're touching base with them at least once a quarter, if not, every 6 weeks, that's going to be a really great opportunity to convert some people that are having a hard time, or they're learning the struggles of the market. And again, you can use Command for this. We are slowly transitioning to Command as a team. There are, some glitches with the team version, so we're not fully over there, but Command can do the same thing as Brivity or any other system that you use. Just make sure that you are using your CRM, that you're using it and tagging people and adding them to a smart plan.
There you go.
Okay, so social media, this is really something that I started doing during COVID, was building not just, a profile, but actually actively lead generating through social media. And, Ali came on and kind of started doing the same thing. And so I feel like we've really taken it far. Like I told you, I'm going to be doing a webinar on this. I was able to set 18 new client appointments in about a 3-month period of time. And so my webinar is going to be all about how I did that, but we will talk a little bit about the steps to doing this. It is a bit of a newer form of lead gen. So if you're not familiar with social media, this is your opportunity to take some time to learn about it. Some people don't like it. They don't like what it's about. But I always like to say, when we're talking about social media lead gen, we're not talking about, just posting pictures and, scrolling through a page and liking people's posts. You're actually using social media, and we specifically use Instagram as a database builder. So, I have my own personal page that and so does Allie, that is solely for our real estate business. And we basically are using it as an opportunity to grow our database, add people to our following, stay in communication with them, and get them converted into clients. So some of the things we'll talk about are, of course, you need to have a profile that's eye-catching. So you want to make sure that you are posting photos and that you're not just, just a picture of yourself on there. But what we've found is that people really want to connect with you as a person. So I think
Absolutely.
there is a benefit of posting a lot of pictures of your listings or the homes that you've just closed, because that shows that you are doing business, of course. But people also want to see your face. They want to get to know you. They want to learn from you. And the biggest thing that we've seen is you need to give people a reason to follow you when it comes to the content that you're posting, which is going to enhance that lead generation piece. So making sure that you are posting information that gives someone who is maybe 3 or 4 years down the road a reason to follow you. So figure out what your niche is in the market. It might be first time home buyers. It might be listings. It might be new builds, and making sure that you're posting consistent content, talking about how you can help them with those things and keep them engaged. Along with your sphere of influence, because maybe your sphere doesn't live here. Maybe they live in a different part of the country. Maybe your sphere is not at an age or a demographic that's ready to purchase or ready to sell, things like that. So you want to give your sphere a reason to follow you too, because a lot of times your sphere, they don't want to just see, just close. They want to see what you're doing and how you can help them.
Absolutely, because there's kind of a theory out there, the third rule. So if you guys are wondering, like, okay, what the heck do I post? Especially you're like, I don't have closings to post, I don't have listings to post. So post a third about your business. So for me, one of the things that I didn't realize was helpful, but everyone started telling me it was, is do videos, do posts about even, get on Command and Designs. And I did what are the top 5 things that I should be doing to my home this fall, as far as, home improvements, things like that. Or I'm not re-signing my lease next year. What are the 3 steps that I should take? So, a third is about your business, whether, like she said, if you have a niche, keep people up to date with, your new builds. Maybe it's your, Monday new build update or Monday market update, so have that business aspect of it, have that personal aspect of it. No one's ever going to get angry because they saw a picture of, my lab husky mix on their timeline. It shows that we're humans. Charlie makes his debut every once in a while on her feed. Show them that super cool new, I don't know, if you just did something to your own home or you just refinished something and you're, sharing the vendor that you used, share that as well. Let them know that you're a homeowner too and you've been in their shoes. And then also a third about the community. Show them that you're involved in the community. So whether it's, oh, this restaurant just opened, you guys need to try it, post it on your stories or shout out that local restaurant. Or if you guys go to a local business, or if you guys belong to, a nonprofit organization, show that you have a business, you have a personal life, and that you're plugged into the community. I think that's an easy way to keep things looking fresh. It's not just constantly graphic, just closed, in contract. People know you're a realtor. It's not going to give them a reason to stop and read what you have to say. But if you can show them something that's eye-catching and relatable, whether they're looking to buy a home or not, you're building that trust, and your page is your online portfolio. And that's how people are going to feel like they know you before they know you, so that when it does come to buy, hey, where's that girl with the really cute dog? She sells real estate. Make your mark on the community with something other than real estate, and the real estate will come.
Yep. And so that's just the first piece that you have to have, so that when you are doing the lead gen, someone's going to click on your profile to check you out when you message them, and you want them to see that. So that's not the lead gen piece. That is solely the building your brand, building
a presence,
building that profile, so that when you're lead genning, they can actually click and see this girl isn't spam, or this guy isn't spam. They're a real person. They're involved in the community, and I could really see myself working with them. So in terms of the actual prospecting with social media, it's a great opportunity to reach out to cold leads and convert them into clients and into really your sphere. So we basically focus on finding prospects. And again, we're going to go a lot more in detail on this in the webinar that I'm doing. but you want to find people that are here in Columbus or that have value to your
Mhm.
business. So that can be agents in other parts of the country that you know are going to be sending a lot of business this way. It can be vendors. So you can find lenders, you can find all different people that have profiles,
Yep,
new build
fine.
reps, those
Yep.
types of people. And then, of course, locals to Columbus. So a couple of the ways that you can search for people to be in Columbus are through hashtags. So you can actually search hashtags that are Columbus specific. So hashtag Columbus, Ohio, hashtag Columbus, Ohio business, all
Hashtag, yeah,
things
Columbus, Ohio home. I mean,
homes. There's so many hundreds and hundreds of hashtags, and you can search those and see anybody that's posted a picture using that hashtag. And so you can look at their profile, and a lot of times in their bio under their name, it does say, you know, Columbus, Ohio or CBUS, and you can go ahead and give them a follow. The great part about social media is that there's no necessarily rules about who you can and can't follow, unlike when you're cold calling where you have people on the do not call list. You can follow anybody that you want to follow. So the key is finding people to follow and
Finding
who
the
to
right
connect with.
people.
So hashtags is a great opportunity. Another is your past clients and your sphere. So
Mhm.
looking at, you know, following your clients on social media and looking at who they follow and who your mutual relationships are. If you
Mhm.
have a person that you don't know, but that 3 of your past clients follow and 2 people in your sphere, that's a great person to connect with because they have multiple relationships that you're already entangled in their sphere. So we typically like to look at those mutual connections. And then small businesses. Every small business and bigger business is
Mhm.
going to have some form of a social media page. Your favorite restaurant on Instagram, go look
Mhm.
them up and see who's following them, because odds are if it's a local business or a local restaurant in a cute little neighborhood, it's
Mhm.
probably going to be a lot of locals following that page. So you can scroll through there, see who's
Mhm.
commenting, see who's following, and start to build your database.
Yep.
And then the key is, again, to actually prospect. So we don't just want them to see us passively through our posts, but we
Mhm.
want to actually reach out and message those people.
Mhm.
And we won't go into a lot of detail on this, but you want to reach out to them. It can be via direct message. You can comment on one of their posts. There's lots of different ways that you can actually engage with these people.
Mhm.
Sometimes they might have an engaging post where you can actually, you know, make an engagement through liking their post, commenting on their post, clicking something on their Instagram story, but really engaging them and just offering value. So
Mhm.
letting them know I'm a local realtor. I love to build relationships. I see you live in Columbus, and I wanted to ask if you have thought about moving or if you need any real estate resources. And the great part about this is that we found that the response rate is
Mhm.
huge. If you message about 100 people, you're probably going to get 40 to 50 responses.
Mhm.
And of those, there's usually a couple people, maybe 3 to 5, that have some sort of real estate need. And so the key is having those conversations, starting those conversations, and then figuring out how to take that conversation and close for the appointment.
Mhm.
One of the reasons we really like to do this on social media is because it's not out of the blue. So when you
Right.
call someone like an expired or a FISBO or a circle call, you're calling them, you don't know what they're doing, they're picking up the phone, and you have to try to convince them
In that
to,
moment.
you know, to turn that client in whatever that conversation is. Whereas with social media, you can send a message, you can comment, you can like, and it's on that person's own time as to
Mhm.
how they want to respond and when they want to respond. Most of the time, they're going to look at your profile before they even respond to you. So they
Mhm.
get to actually know you and
Mhm.
make the decision. And what we found is that most people respond really positively. They really appreciate someone reaching out. A
Mhm.
lot of times people will say, this is so coincidental because
Mhm.
I actually was just having a conversation that I think I want to buy my first house or that we want to move and I don't know anybody. So it's a really great opportunity. And then you can actually mirror. So we
Mhm.
focus on if they're using a lot of emotional words and exclamation points, mirroring the
Mirroring their
language that they're
energy.
using. And then if someone is giving you, you know, shorter responses, mirroring that as well, and also responding in the same time period that they've responded. And what we found is that it allows them to feel like they have a little bit of control, which,
Mhm.
you know, in real estate, we as the agents always want to have the control, but because it is a colder lead, to make them feel comfortable, you know, they can respond on their own time, and we're just
Mhm.
making sure that we're following up. And the really great part about Instagram too is that you can actually flag your conversations. So anybody that's a lead, you can flag them as a lead. You can also, of course, through your conversation, we typically like to set up a phone call. So as we start talking, we, ask them some questions. Okay, great. You have a need, is this your first home you're buying? Have you talked with the lender? All the questions you would ask a lead in any other conversation. And then we basically go for the close, and that's either setting up an appointment, setting up a phone call, things like that to get their contact info. And, if they say, oh, I'm down the line, I'm a couple years out, you can always just say, you know what, that's totally fine. You want to sell your home. I want to make sure that you're updated on the market. Can I get your email so I can send you, a quarterly market evaluation, and then putting them into your system and following up. So like I said, we've probably set and closed dozens of appointments.
I just closed 2 of yours last week.
Dozens of appointments from social media. It's probably the biggest source of our appointments other than agent referrals right now. Those are the 2 where we're really getting a lot of business, as well as our vendor partners. And it is a little bit of a newer form of lead gen. So if you want more info, just reach out to us. We'll put our info in the comments, but we found a lot of success with this because everybody's on social media. Not everybody has a home phone. A lot of people are on the do not call list. And so if you're trying to build a database, it's an awesome, awesome, awesome opportunity to get in front of cold people. And the cool part is when someone follows you, they're now going to see your face whenever you post. So knowing how to work that, there's obviously a lot more we could talk about. There's a bunch of things related to the algorithm of social media and the types of posts you have to make and when you have to post. So there's a lot to it, but there are tons of resources. And the last thing I'll say is go on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you're going to be doing some social media lead gen, and find agents that you want to emulate. So there's a couple agents that we follow in other parts of the country who have built their business on their brand, and they've built their business through connecting with people through social media. And so we follow them and we reach out to them, ask questions. How did you build your business? How did you grow? What are the techniques and tricks that you would recommend? Because right now this platform is not going anywhere, and it seems to be where the new generation is headed. And so they feel comfortable connecting on that platform, whereas they don't feel as comfortable connecting over the phone. And we know that phone calls are extremely important. And so we focus on getting a phone call with these leads, but we found that that initial contact is a lot more effective and efficient than we found with some other forms of cold lead gen.
Absolutely.
Again, this is a cold form of lead gen when you're reaching out to new people, but it's a great combination because you can also stay in front of your sphere, your database, and really build a name and a brand for yourself.
Well, and I think too, just the key part of before I send anyone a message, I follow them and then I message the people that follow me back. So by default, by sticking to that model, they've already consented that they have opted in, they are following me now, so I kind of use that as if I immediately can get a response from them that, all right, this isn't such a cold lead anymore because you gave me permission. We are following each other, you opted in. So that's kind of what I always say too, is that if you want to make it feel a little warmer, reach out to the people who do kind of accept that follow and who follow you back. So that's just a little thing.
Yeah. Any questions on that before we move on? Yeah. Okay.
All right, then we'll go ahead and move on. So I think kind of now that we've talked through, all these different ways, I think it's, so easy to kind of get overwhelmed with, all right, we just talked about 75 different ways that we can be prospecting, what are going to be those ways that are going to work for us? So I think, kind of before we talk about a plan, have we missed any? Are there any? Yeah, go ahead. Just to leave for an appointment. But what has been working for you guys? Are there anything that, we haven't listed, anything that we haven't said that you would like to share that you think has been a good source for you guys?
I think that the social media stuff was helpful. It's kind of what I've been hesitant to jump on into. And I know it's definitely going to help grow my business. I just have to do it.
Absolutely. What do you think made you hesitant to try it?
In my personal life, I'm just not that present on social media. I have Instagram, I have Facebook. I just don't post very often. And where to start, I guess, was a big thing. Like, I've only sold one house so far, so I don't have a lot of like current listings to post and stuff like that. So that was helpful to like just here to get myself out there before I get my real estate stuff going.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, because I definitely was just there where it was like, okay, what do I post? And we'll post our handles in the chat so you guys can kind of see what we post, kind of where we go with our cadence. But I think for me, I definitely was, like you said, it's I don't have any, because I'm purely just a buyer specialist. So I, never have any listings. So for me, it's always, okay, well, what can I do? So I think it's, while you don't have your numbers and maybe we'll call it, that success of a closing photo to back you, let your market knowledge, help you and let I've had people, so I was in a sorority back in college and I've had, former sisters of mine who they live in various parts of the country. And I would message them every once in a while to saying, hey, hope all is well. If there's anything I can be doing for you. Because again, always having that kind of referral in mind that, hey, I know a ton of people who maybe don't live here. How can I, share the wealth? And so I'll always offer that up. And she told me, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house in a year and your posts have been very helpful. To me, unless I see a ton of likes and a ton of comments, I assume that no one is really present for my post. But you'll find that there are people looking and there are people relying on your resources. So, just when you don't think that there's anybody watching, there are. So post about the holidays, post about, again, your personal life. Pets are always a very safe one. Any home renovations that you've done are always fun, safe ones. Just the more that you can get out there, regardless of what the content is, just building that rapport of, here she is and here's what she does, or here's, what she is, here's what she stands for. I think those are all just easy ways to get your foot in the door. And then obviously the business will come and those, posts about closings and in contracts, those will take care of themselves. So if does anyone else have anything that's worked for them or anything, that they want to share that they've kind of dabbled in, or maybe they aren't having success with, that they would like to talk about how they could get success from it? All right, not everyone at once, but that is totally fine. I think what we'll go ahead and kind of let's just talk about how do we take all this and how do we decide kind of what's going to work for us. So I think the key is understanding that a lot of your business is going to come from very few places. So I think it's easy, especially, I don't know if anyone had the opportunity to attend Mega Camp or if you've done any bolds before, you're going to have this idea overdrive where you're going to have all these little things that these, top agents are doing, and you're going to feel like you have to be doing all of them. So I think, the first key thing is understanding, we can't just try a ton of little things once and expect them to work. For me, I can't just post, one particular campaign or send one message out to all of my followers and expect the leads to start coming in. That it's really going to be, if you're going to try something, we need to give it at least 6 months for it to kind of work. So this is definitely not the instant gratification, business to be in. We are really in for that long haul. So I think, and kind of going through what are these different resources that are going to work for us. Well, I think usually it's kind of the easier it is, chances are it's not going to have the biggest impact. So in a recent survey that KW conducted, the top lead generation sources for, the millionaire real estate agents were referrals, sphere of influence, repeat business, then your purchase leads, your yard signs, your online ads, all that sort of thing. So I think what that really says is take that, you're going to have to take those harder roads, so going to those open houses, going to, your sphere of influence, having those, direct face-to-face conversations. Those are really going to be the things that, while they're not going to feel the best, and while those are going to be the ones that feel awkward, I promise you, those are going to be the things that you're getting your return on. So for me, at the very beginning, I always focus on, my lead generation of I need to get to 20 contacts a day. So before I can go to the fun part of posting on my social media, whether it's a post, whether it's a story, or before I can, just do any of those littler things, I need to get my contacts in. I need to be reaching out to my sphere. I need to be reaching out, to leads from open houses. So again, it's not the most fun, but that's what's going to get you those results. I can promise you. All right. So in going through, let's kind of talk about, prioritizing then. So as you'll see here, once you leave either one of these trainings or after you go from, Bold or any of those sorts of trainings, you're going to have 10 different things that you're going to want to do. So I think the first thing is, let's talk through what's going to get us, the biggest bang for a buck. And so, maybe it isn't your social media is probably not going to be number one. Your sign call is probably not going to be number one. So, we actually took a 3-day period back in December, I want to say, in which we took 2 days that we did no lead generation, no lead follow-up. All we did was work on our business. So we actually took our days, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we actually prioritized and said, okay, for us, we have 3 hours of lead generation that we do 4 days a week. So we immediately blocked out 9 to noon. That's our lead gen. That's when we are having one-to-one conversations. We have our goal of 20 contacts a day, which, a contact is, it's either writing a letter, it's having a phone call in which the person actually picks up. We do not count it as a contact if we just left a voicemail, a text message in which someone actually responds, an email in which someone actually responds. And that's the big chunk of our day. Again, it's not the fun one. Sometimes with them, we would allocate within that are we doing one-to-one social media messaging? Are we going to be dedicating an hour of that 3 hours to reaching out to some of the top agents in the office and building rapport with them? Or maybe it's those FSBOs, or maybe we're calling around to a listing that either, we just listed or just sold, or one that we're trying to get our buyers into that neighborhood, so focus on that. And then from there, schedule out. Maybe it's twice a month you want to do, your open houses, and put that in your Sundays. Then, put on, if you want to do an hour where you're just catching up on your social media, maybe you're interacting with those new followers. We always say, don't count it as your lead gen, but take an hour just to scroll through your feed. And if you just gained a follower and maybe she said she has a real estate need in the next year, if you see a post, comment on it, like it, stay connected with those people. By default, the people who respond to our messages are the people who are paying attention, and the people who, maybe they were a no, but that no is really a maybe, or, it could have been a maybe and it really means yes in the next few months. So stay close to them, prioritize maybe an hour of that, a couple times a week. Maybe maybe one of your goals is you want to do events, so schedule those out once a week. I think the key is understand that you're not going to be able to do everything, and, take the few things that you're going to do and do it consistently, because again, you can't do anything once and expect it, to work out for you. So for you guys, what do you think, just kind of from what we've talked about, from what's worked for you in the past, who wants to share kind of where they're maybe spending most of their time, or kind of how they're breaking up their weeks in order to prioritize their prospecting? Again, not everyone at once.
I was gonna say, I can actually talk to that a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
So I am a new agent, going through kind of the motions, just got my license in December. However, our Rainmaker is really, really good about leading by example. We actually set gen time from 9 to 11 every day, Monday through Friday. And she's doing it with us, and she's been doing this over 25 years. So I think just again, it's the advantage of being part of a team, but kind of that team aspect. And there's some days where maybe I'm not there on time, and both my partners will actually text me and say, hey, are you lead genning? And sometimes we even Zoom each other and put each other on mute just so that we can see and hold each other accountable. And our Rainmaker also does accountability meetings every Thursday. We hop on every Thursday with our goals in mind. And part of that is making sure that your lead gen is blocked out in your schedule every Monday through Friday. So again, for me, it's been easy to, get started and develop good, healthy habits because of, our Rainmaker kind of setting that example from the very beginning.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. if we have any independent agents, what are you guys doing if you don't have, that team or that rainmaker? What are some ways that you guys are holding yourselves accountable, or maybe you're struggling with holding yourselves accountable? I'll be completely honest. I was an independent agent for 3 months before I joined the Millennium Group. And I think one of the things that really drove me to want to join a team was that sense of, it's a lot easier to be held accountable when, you kind of have that, that plug and play mindset of, okay, this is what they do. I'm going to plug into it and I'm also going to succeed. So when we don't have that, what are you guys doing, to maintain your calendars and to make sure that, you're getting everything done that you want to do? Or I guess if there's anyone else who's on a team, what does your team do to kind of help keep you accountable? All right. Well, it's totally fine. We don't have to have any shares. But again, I think that really the key is here is that, there's 3 steps to it. I think there's the figuring out, the prospecting versus the marketing, and, acknowledging that that's going to be the way that you are going to get your ultimate success. Then that second part is going to be figuring out what works for you. And I think there's that heavy, balance of do what feels right for you and you personally, but also the way to growth is going to be getting yourself out of your comfort zone and making sure that we're doing the things that are ultimately going to grow our business. So again, no one loves picking up the phone, even if it's someone you do know. I get it. It can be, intimidating that I feel like I just called them, or, they know that I'm new. How can I, convey that I'm ready for this, that I can help them out? I think go to your scripts. Like Aaliyah said, there are so many different scripts that if you just Google real estate scripts, whether it's for a sphere, whether it's for, circle calling around the neighborhood, know your script, know what you're asking for, and those will make those feel easier. So give yourself that healthy balance of challenge yourself, but then also give yourself some time of, if you know that you go to this particular group every week, these are people that already know, trust, and love you. For others, make them know, trust, and love you for real estate. So I'm a big proponent of, yes, do the uncomfortable stuff, but also make real estate fit into your life. Don't try to insert yourself into real estate where it might not feel the most, right for you. And then third, prioritize it and make a plan for it, because it's one thing to find all these great things. It's another to actually make sure that you're doing it on a weekly basis. So I think really taking, take a morning, take an afternoon, or heck, take a couple of them and really just sit down and plan it out. That I think it's so easy to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But unless we have time blocked out for it, we all know that all of a sudden 9 becomes noon and noon becomes 7 p.m. and we had 3 different showings and we're writing offers. So the best that you can get ahead of your day, you can fit everything else in between. All right. So then let's see. Does anyone have any questions? We've talked about it a lot. Is there anything that we feel like we haven't covered? Any areas of prospecting that you want to know more about? At this point, we've kind of covered everything, that I want to cover. So I just want to make sure that we're covering what you guys want to cover and what you were looking to get out of today that maybe we haven't touched yet. All right. Well, if no one else has any questions, that's really all that kind of we had for you guys. So what we can do is we will put our Instagram handles and our emails into the chat box so that you guys, if you have any questions on social media or just any questions about what we've talked about today, feel free to reach out. Feel free to call, text. We're upstairs. Our office is right off the kitchen. So if you guys ever have any questions or just want to chat more about how to kind of, get your business started and how to actually get up and running and, I always said, I want to feel like a legitimate agent. I want to have that confidence to tell people that, I'm not just licensed, but I'm truly in the business and feeling good about it. So, please let me let us know if you guys have any questions, beyond today, or if there's anything, if you want to talk through scripting or talking through how to get, through to people in messages or on open houses, we are super willing. So unless anyone else has anything, I'm going to let you guys go, but thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Allie. You are amazing.
Oh my gosh, stop. Well, thank you so much. We love doing this and we love kind of sharing what's working for us, especially because the world has been so weird that I feel like a lot of things that have worked for us in the past, maybe they're not working right now. So we're trying to roll with the punches. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.